Hello, everyone. Tonight on Panaloids, Comic Books, and More, we are joined by an Eisner Award-winning artist, best known for his work on Batman: The Dark Knight, Justice League, Detective Comics, Swamp Thing, Suicide Squad, Batman Eternal, and Batman and Three Jokers. He is also the artist of the book that just so happened to be the reason that I met my wife, and Ghost Machine co-founder. Here to talk Rook Exodus, Mr. Jason Fabok. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Good,
Doing
good.
all right.
Jeremiah,
You're part of the reason that I got married.
Yeah. You want to tell the story quick? I feel like you kind of want to because you put it in the intro.
Yeah, do it. I want to hear it.
So I had James Tynion for one of his first signings ever. And my wife was actually the news videographer that was sent to cover the signing that I had. She then left and came back later with the Batman annual that you had worked on because she wanted to get it signed by James. I traded her for her unsigned copy for a signed copy because James had already left. And in exchange, I got her number, which is the only smooth thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I texted her before she left the store, and she replied 6 months later. So anyways, we're married now. So it worked out.
That's awesome. That's great. That's excellent. Good story.
Yeah, so if I ever see you at a show, we have to get that exact copy signed. So
yeah, for sure. Yep. That book was one of my early books. Like, man, what was that? 2010, 2011?
Came out 2010 because I had the signing in 2011.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was right at the beginning of my career. So early stuff.
Big book right out the gate, pretty much. Snyder and Tynion on Batman with you at the helm. That was a really good story too. That Mr. Freeze story is wonderful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. A lot of fun to do that issue too. It was nerve-wracking because it was like one of my first big DC gigs. I mean, you always look back on your stuff and think, oh, it could be better, but it was something that helped me kind of move my career in the right direction. So
awesome.
I look back on it fondly now.
I look back on it very fondly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are here for Rook Exodus. Me and Jeremiah love Rook Exodus so much. It is the top. It is the top of our list.
Very much, yes.
Very much top of our list. It's like an understatement. I mean, you have outdone yourself with this one. Like this is just. I don't want to sound like young, like that peak, right? That's the word, like peak. Like it is the peak here. So for anyone who might not have read it yet, could you just kind of describe what it is to a first-time reader? Kind of give us a little pitch for it.
Sure. First off, am I coming through clear? I feel like I'm lagging on the screen, but I wasn't sure if that's just on my end or on your guys' error.
You're good on my end, and my background recordings are good, so it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Rook Exodus is something that it's one of those dream projects that's been in the back of my mind for years. And it's something I'm really excited that I get to work on. It's a different kind of beast when you actually get to create the thing that you're drawing and have say in a story and say in characters. The idea goes back quite a few years, right from the beginning of when I started working in comics. I was drawing this character, this Rook character, but I never really had much of a story to go along with it. And when Jeff and I started talking about what we wanted to do after Three Jokers, we were pitching different story ideas, and Rook Exodus was, or the Rook character kept coming up, and Jeff then went away and he kind of came up with this whole story about this dying world set in the future on this dying planet, and that there are these characters called wardens who have these special helmets that allow them to neural link with a specific animal species. And as soon as we kind of cracked that and started figuring that part out of the story, and that we could have all these different animal characters, all of a sudden this whole world just kind of happened. And I have to say, it's like one of those things where it was kind of like magic. It's just all like you hear lots of writers, and like J.K. Rowling once described, like she got the whole idea for Harry Potter on like a train ride or something like that. And sometimes you think like, oh, how can that happen? But it was like that with Rook. It was like one day we didn't have an idea. The next day Jeff pitched us just a little idea, and just us jamming and talking, we developed like this whole kind of universe and all of these characters. And a lot of the characters that are in the story just kind of appeared, fully fleshed out the way that they are right from the beginning, like Direwolf and Ursa. Direwolf being the wolf warden, Ursa being the bear warden. And so, I mean, all of these things just kind of came together. For those who don't know the story, it's again, like I said, it's a science fiction action adventure. It's like I've always kind of explained it as like Star Wars meets Mad Max meets a Western, like Dances with Wolves or something. And essentially, it's about this character Rook, who is the warden of crows, rooks, ravens. And with his helmet, he can control these birds, and he can gain information from them. He can control them. He can have them do what he wants. And he's using these birds at the beginning of our story to help him scavenge and find parts for a rocket ship so that he can attempt to leave this dying planet Exodus. And things don't really go his way, and he gets roped into a much bigger adventure when he learns that this warlord character named Ursa, who is the warden of bears, that he's out to get all of the different helmets from these warden characters, and to take control of something called the wildlife grid, which is essentially the technology that connects all of these wardens together and with their animals. And so, it's a big action adventure romp, and Rook has to kind of make a decision. Is he going to stay and fight for the future of the planet, or is he going to take flight and leave? And it was little simple themes like that we kind of talked about right from the beginning, and it just helped us to kind of develop this world and these characters right from the get-go. And like I said, it all just kind of came formed, and ever since we've just been kind of jamming and having fun coming up with new stories and new characters and all this sort of thing. But yeah, that's kind of where it all started, and that's kind of a little overview of the book itself.
So in the book, we've been introduced to a bunch of different wardens already. What made you choose the specific animals that you guys have already figured out, and how did you go about designing their helmets? Pretty much every single helmet is pretty unique. Matterhorn's my favorite one so far. So I'm curious why you chose the animals that you chose, and how you decided to design their helmets.
Yeah. Well, Rook himself goes back to the fact that I just I like the look of a crow. I like the look of like a bird. And my original kind of concept for this character was that he was going to be kind of a space mercenary kind of guy who had this kind of a bird mask, and he called himself Rook because he was kind of like how Batman calls himself Batman. Rook calls himself Rook. He takes on the form of a creature, and I mean that's a classic comic book thing, right? You have all these characters based upon animals. It's a staple of comic books and superheroes and all this sort of thing. And it's funny, like one of the first times that Jeff and I were talking, he said, well, how come this guy wears a bird mask? And I said, I don't really know. And I just said, it looks cool, and and then he had said, like, well, what if he can control, I think the original idea was, what if he can control like robotic birds? And then one of us then said, well, wait a minute, what if he could control real birds? And so now,
Because robotic birds are real birds.
well, robotic. I think I said to Jeff, I don't want to draw robotic birds, man. Like that's too much. Like it's too tough. Let's do something more organic. And so, but Rook was always there. I think crows have always been one of my favorite animals. I love the way a crow looks. My grandfather had 2 pet crows on the farm when he was when my mom recalls it, when she was younger. And so there's like been
That's
this
really cool.
yeah, there's been like this connection with crows. I just think they're beautiful birds. Whenever I see them, I'm always stunned by them. Crows and ravens and stuff. They just got such a cool look. So I always really enjoyed that, and the visual of a guy surrounded by a bunch of crows is just kind of neat. It's a cool visual. Ursa was the next character, and Jeff just said, what if there's a big bear villain and he can control bears? And so I immediately kind of knew what I wanted to do with him. And his whole thing was, I just wanted a big Viking guy, but I wanted him to have like a prosthetic, like a cyborg arm that was like big and had like spikes all over it and stuff. And the character Ursa, we played on the way you spell it, URSAW, and I thought, well, it'd be cool if he had like a bunch of chainsaws and chainsaw gun and chainsaw axe and I kind of playing with that Mad Max kind of vibe, but he was always there from the beginning too, and he would. After Rook, I think he was the second character I designed, and pretty much the first design I did of the character is the way he looked. Direwolf originally, I love wolves too. I think wolves are a great looking animal, and originally Direwolf I pitched as like actually a male character, and we threw around some names like werewolf and a couple other things. But then Jeff said, well, what if Direwolf's a female character? Can almost be like a love interest, like a Catwomanish kind of character to Rook being Batman, or like a Wonder Woman to Superman. And she was another character. I just knew exactly what I wanted to do with the design. The helmets actually, like Rook's helmet took me years to develop. I mean, I have early drawings from 2013, 2012, where I was kind of just playing around with shapes and trying to get the helmet to look good. And it's like, I didn't want, sometimes having a beak on a character can look a little goofy, like on a mask. It's like, yeah, it has to be the right balance. And actually, one of the things I did early on with all 3 of those main characters is that my brother, who is he's a 3D modeler in the video game industry, and so he works on like Call of Duty and for Infinity Ward in Texas, and I just kind of said to him, like, can we work some of these concepts out in 3D? Can you model them so I can kind of get a sense, and like we can turn them and see them in 3 dimensions, and so I can get a better idea of what I want to do with the visual of it. And so he started messing around with that, and like I have like a 3D printed like a little like Rook helmet here.
It needs to be bigger, and I need to be able to wear it.
Yeah. Well, I do have a file for that to actually make a 3D printed helmet, but I haven't done it yet. Like one that's hollowed out and the eyes cut out and everything. But I used this for a lot of reference, But having it in 3D just allowed us to kind of make changes, and we changed the silhouette. And even up until I was halfway done the first issue, I went back and changed the way I drew the helmet. Like it was always kind of evolving. And same thing with Direwolf. I came up with an initial design and sent it to him, and he started modeling it out. And he actually was the one who said, "Hey, I want to make it a little more feminine." It was a little more rough and like jaggedy looking, and he feminized it a bit. And the version that you see is kind of his take on it. And Ursa, he pretty much just did the design that I had drawn. And it really, my design philosophy with everything in this book is it's part Mad Max, part Star Wars, part kind of World War I, World War II army design, and then a little bit of like Metal Gear Solid kind of stuff in there as well. And so it's just kind of finding, like with the helmets, you're trying to find a visual that looks kind of scary, looks kind of cool, fits it fits, like it has to kind of look like the animal, but didn't want it to be too on the nose. I wanted it to have a little bit of a design element to it where it's like, yeah, it looks like a bird, but it's not exactly like a bird, or it looks like a bear, but it's not 100% a bear. It's like I kind of wanted to ride the line, and some of the masks are designed off of like the animal skull. Like I found like stag right from the beginning. I remember when I was younger, when I was growing up, I had those Lord of the Rings extended edition DVDs, and I would watch how the making of Lord of the Rings over and over and over again. And one of the cool things that always stuck with me is how they said they designed Sauron's helmet after the skull of a horse. And I was like, oh, that's really, like, that's such a cool idea, like to look towards like this animal skulls. And so Matterhorn and stag both have like skull. It's like more, I looked at the skulls of the creature rather than the the actual look of the animal to get that shape and that design. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's tough. Sometimes it's hard because you need the helmets to have a certain silhouette so that's readable. But I'm so far I'm happy with everything, the way it's come out. And there's all kinds of new characters that are constantly coming up. So it's I'm always looking for inspiration and how I can make the next one look cool, and work within and also be able to draw it, because I have to draw these things over and over and over again. So
One of the things is every animal that we've seen so far has been land based. So I'm excited to see any aquatic based, with the exception of obviously the turtle, Kesabara. The rest of them have been land based. So I'm excited to see an aquatic one eventually, hopefully.
yeah, that is coming. One of the things that Jeff and I joke about is that we have all these ideas for these different stories and story arcs and characters we want to see, but you have to be careful that you don't put in too many things all at once, right? And it's like a slow burn is better than just dumping it all out there. I think with issue 3, there's like a 2-page spread that showed a bunch of characters kind of hinting at them, and that was kind of our idea, our way of just getting stuff out there and seeing if it sparked anything with the readership. And we heard a lot back, oh, we want to see the stag and we want to see the spider guy and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, and so we've been grabbing bits and pieces of those and putting him in our story, in these story arcs, and having fun with them. But there will be water stuff for sure, because I want to go there as well.
Awesome.
To go back to just like the helmets for a second, the detail in every helmet is just insane. Like do you feel like you might have shot yourself in the foot just a little bit because you have to draw these detailed helmets in every scene? And then that kind of leads to like a general question of how long does like a page take? Like how long does the issue take? Is like this book is insanely like every single page is insane detail. You could spend an hour on a page just examining it. So how are you producing this at any rate?
Yeah. So I do curse myself quite a bit, thinking, why did I design these characters like this? Why are they? But my idea from the beginning was I wanted to do something that nobody else could do. I wanted to make a comic book that only I could do. Which I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. I guess you want your character to be simple enough that you can draw it. Anybody could draw the character, but at the same time, it's like I wanted it to feel alive. I wanted everything to feel like it was really well thought out, and so yeah, I don't know. I figured that I was going to go for it and just really push it with all of the designs and the characters. And when it comes to how long it takes to draw, it generally takes me about 2 months to draw an issue, if not a little more. And that's not because there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into that, and it's something that I've really my mindset changed as I went through my career. When I first started in my career, I was pumping out 7 pages a week, and I was doing 8, 9 issues a year. So I think one year I did 10 issues back when I was doing Detective Comics in one year. But the thing is that I sacrificed so much of my personal life. My wife didn't enjoy that. I worked 7 days a week, from 7 a.m. until sometimes 7 or 8 at night, just taking a little break for supper. And that was about it. And I would work weekends and I would work holidays. And I really busted my butt to do a lot of work because I was really trying to prove myself. And I wanted those jobs at DC. And then, once I started having kids, my wife and I started having kids, it kind of put everything in perspective. And I started to realize, like, I don't want to be chained to my desk all the time, and I don't want to be sacrificing that family time. And especially now that my kids are getting a little older, like my firstborn just turned 10, and he's involved in sports, and he wants to do things on the weekends, and the other kids are starting to get involved in different activities. You kind of there's a balance there. So I that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do something that was more creator owned rather than just stick it out at DC, because I had these conversations with Jeff and I said, look, I want to do something where I can take my time, but I don't have to worry about getting 5 pages done a week. Like if I only get 2 pages done, that's great. If I get 3, that's great too. And I would like to take my weekends off and enjoy them with my family. And this job allows me to do that. I still, on many weekends, I'm sitting there trying to draw to get things done. But generally, it takes me about 8 to 10 weeks to do an issue. Some pages are quick. Like yesterday, I had one of those amazing days where I did a page in a day, and I was like, wow. And you feel really great about that until Brian Hitch tells you he drew 4 pages in one day. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not as quick as I thought I was. But usually it takes me about 2 days for a page, if not 3. Depends what's on that page. If it's a fight sequence, it takes a lot longer. If it's characters standing around talking, those actually move pretty quick. If it's stuff with if it's stuff that's like establishing shots, storytelling kind of stuff, that goes a little quicker too. But I find that if you just as an artist, I mean, I get up really early. I start early. I usually take a break in the mid morning to go do some exercise, and then I'll just work straight through until my wife calls me up for dinner, and then that's when I know I'm done. And then I just put it away and come back to it the next day. But yeah, it takes a while. But I probably if I had to, I could pump out 5 pages a week. It just wouldn't look as good. And it's like, I don't know. I rushed stuff out for years at DC because you had to do it. You just had to hit deadline. And I don't really want to do that. I'm in a different position now where I can take my time on it. I know that it's a bummer. I'll get messages from fans who are very impatient that they want the book to be coming out monthly, but it was never meant to be a monthly book. It was always meant to just be mini series of, however many issues I kick out in a year, that's what comes out, kind of thing. So, but rest assured, we do have plans to kind of expand some of this stuff into other books and whatnot that'll afford me the time to be working on something while there's other stuff coming out to kind of feed the audience. So, yeah, that's generally how long it takes, to do stuff in my situation. And yeah.
It's honestly
Personally?
faster than I thought.
Take your time. It looks
Yeah, no,
way too
really.
good to try to speed that up. It's so fantastic. Like Kyle was saying, the detail in every single page is
It's really
absolutely
insane. Like
fantastic.
it's on like I don't comparison's the worst thing you can do, but like I don't know who else is doing that. Like that level of detail, and the little breaks are very, very, very worth it. And can you imagine the hardcover though? Like when there's a hardcover, like
Oh, it's coming. It looks beautiful.
it's
It does look
just
beautiful.
like when that's in hand, like it's so worth it. Like it's 100% worth the wait. I can't compliment it enough. It's honestly a masterpiece. Like every single page, like blown away.
I
The
appreciate
emotion
that.
the emotion that you can put into your artwork. There's one, I'm not trying to spoil anything from anyone who hasn't gotten there yet, but there's a moment where Rook's birds are telling him to fly and he can't. And like that feeling you get in the pit of your stomach reading that. And that just is a testament to your guys' work, is like all the detail and the emotion that you put into it is really
And
good.
the emotion with helmets on too. Like
Yes, you're able to convey that even without facial expressions
Yeah.
is wonderful.
That's
So
actually the toughest thing, is that they have these helmets on, and I didn't want to have a thing where it's like, well, they always have to take their helmet off, or the helmet zips off their head, and like a Tony Stark kind of thing. Like I wanted the helmet to be the face of these characters, and but you do little tricks. You use body language. I will widen the eyes of the character just ever so slightly, even though it really shouldn't do that in reality. But that was like a trick they used to do with Iron Man and stuff like that. So there's little things like that, and also going back to the detail stuff. Like the way I draw comics is the way is like how I want comics to look. It's like it's the comics I was always attracted to, were guys like David Finch and Jim Lee and Steve McNiven. These like guys who Brian Boland, guys who put lots of detail in there, and I've always been attracted to that. And it takes a lot longer to draw that stuff, but I just find that I don't know, it just brings about, I don't know, it's a different style. It's my style. It's what I like, and sometimes I get a little carried away, but it's fun, and people seem to like it, and they like to read the books, and that's all I can ask for, you know.
So you've been working with Jeff Johns for a while. How has that collaboration been for you, and how has it also been bringing in Brad Anderson and Rob Lee into it all?
Yeah, Jeff and we've been working since 2014 together, and uh, Jeff loves collaboration. That's like his favorite thing. He loves to kind of bounce ideas off of you, and he wants you to give him ideas. There's so many times I'll throw out something, and then I read an issue, and all of a sudden it's in there. You when you're collaborating with somebody like that, and they're listening to you, and they care about your perspective and your opinion, you can't help but fall in love with the story that you're telling, and then therefore you want to put your best foot forward. You want to actually do your best on it, because it becomes part of you. It's not just a story that a writer has given you. You actually have had a say in the direction and the emotion and the characters that are there, and that's been the way it's been since Justice League. When I started working with him on Justice League, it was just a lot of phone calls and talking back and forth, talking whenever he sends over script. It's like, hey, let's talk about it. Do you want me to change anything? Do you like this scene? I wasn't sure about this. And I can say to him, like, yeah, but what if we add this in there? Can we do that? And he'll kind of help you mold that story around kind of what you really want to draw. And sometimes it's like he really wants to tell a story, and I respect that too. And so I just go with it, But Jeff's a great collaborator, and so much of the Rook idea, I brought the visual, and he was the one who brought all of the story and the emotion and all that stuff, and really made the world come alive. And then that inspired me to draw the world and to really dive into it and think about the visual style and the way that everything looked. Brad Anderson and I have been working together since Batman. I did Batman Eternal, so I don't even know when that was, 2015, something like that. No, probably before that.
2012.
2012, yeah. So he and I have been working together. I remember I really wanted to work with him because he was coloring Gary Frank's stuff, and I just loved this color palette. And he was one of the only colorists who seemed to understand 3-point or 2-point lighting. Gary used a lot of 2-point lighting where you have a light source coming from both sides of the character. So even though you have a strong light source maybe hitting this side of the face, which causes the shadow, you also have a backlight, which gives a rim light around the outside of the character, and it just adds 3-dimensional depth. And I kind of stole that from Gary. I mean, other artists do it too, but I really noticed that Gary used to do that quite a bit. Dave Finch does it too. And so I started using that technique to kind of help make things look a little more 3-dimensional with my drawing. And Brad always just, he understood that and colored it correctly. And a lot of colors never understood that, and it would just, anyway. So I knew it's like I wanted to work with this guy, and I love this color palette. I love the colors, the way that the specific colors that he chose. And right from the get-go, when he and I started working, I just, we just clicked. And he's also another fellow Canadian, and so we get along talking about hockey and all that kind of stuff too. But Brad's somebody that sometimes I'll, like, when I draw stuff, or if I'm drawing a scene or even a cover, I think in color a lot of times. And so it's like I'll say to myself, like, I really feel like this cover needs to be have lots of reds, or I want this cover to have lots of blues or greens, and so sometimes I'll send him a little, I'll throw a color overlay over the inked cover and say, this is kind of what I'm thinking, but like, if you want to change this up and do something different that will work better from a color theory perspective, go for it. But a lot of the times I can give him something. I don't have to really say what I want. He just gets it. And he just understands what I want and delivers. And so he and I are on the same wavelength when it comes to how the books should look. And I mean, we'll discuss, with the second arc of Rook. The first arc of Rook had a lot of yellows. It was kind of like yellows and oranges and browns and blues were kind of the colors. And then with the second arc, we really discussed it. It's like, let's do something different. Let's do a lot of green, a lot of blues, and some eerie green, neon-y green colors. And so it's fun to kind of talk color and color really, as a reader, it suggests different things to your mind. And so it's like we play with those suggestions and those, the power of what color can do. And Rob Lee's, I've been working with him on all the books that Jeff, he does all of Jeff's books. And again, Rob's been around for so long, he just understands everything. And it's like, he just hits the mark on it. And I remember talking to him, just saying, I just want something very simple for the lettering in this book. I don't want something too nuts. And so he just did a very simple kind of style, and it works for the book. And you can always trust that he's gonna deliver. I always feel bad for Rob because I'm filling every panel full of so much stuff, and he's somehow he's probably sometimes thinking, like, you got to leave more space for word balloons, but he always seems to make it work. So it always works out in the end.
You missed an opportunity when you were saying that you and Brad are on the same wavelength. You could have just said Neuralinked, but
true. If sometimes it feels like that, he knows what I want. And sometimes I sit there and think I don't even have to give this guy any like suggestions about color. It's just going to come back the way I want it anyway. So
awesome.
Yeah, hearing the collaboration, I mean, it's evident, like for sure. Like you can feel the difference. I've read a lot of John's, and you can feel that this is such a strong collaboration. It's really it's a unique piece for sure. So to get into like a little bit of a spoiler kind of territory, we'll be careful. We'll make it be your fault if anything comes out. But we did get to read issue 7. Fantastic. The only thing I'll say is it's just like straight action out the gate. It's just punches you. It's like the perfect comeback issue. It's great. What are you able to share about a little bit about the story and the work that went into issue 7?
Well, issue 7 kind of picks up where we left off the heroes at the end of issue 6. They've they stopped Ursa from stealing the wildlife grid, and they've learned that Direwolf's father is still alive, and that he is the warden known as Bloodhound. One of the really cool ideas that Jeff Johns came up with was this idea of the instinct influence, and how these wardens can control their animals, but the instincts of the animals are also coming back into their minds. And right when he first explained that idea, immediately we were like, man, we can have a lot of fun with that concept as we go along throughout this book. And so here we're kind of playing with that, because Bloodhound has been driven totally mad. He's a mad dog. He's essentially rabid, and he has no humanity left. And Rook and Direwolf believe that he holds the key to essentially restarting the world engines that would, stop the planet from dying. And so they're looking for him, and he's been sighted up in the northern reaches of the planet, and so they've gone there in search of him. But there are other characters searching for Bloodhound as well, including the warden of Deer, known as Stag. And Stag's one of those characters that was there right from the beginning as well. He was one of probably the third or fourth one that I designed, and he's essentially this wandering Japanese Ronin, samurai kind of character. We call him Stag the Hunter, and he's on the hunt for Bloodhound, and you're gonna learn why. I believe in issue 8, and so he's on the hunt for Bloodhound. Is he friend or foe to Rook and Direwolf? Well, we'll have to find out. And I mean, some of this we've already talked about this, but one of the big major villain of this arc is going to be Arachnid, the spider warden. And this character, you're going to see a lot of him in more in the middle of this story arc, but he's terrifying. And his design and what I'm doing with this character is you talked about, you sometimes question why you did why did you design certain things a certain way. Well, he's one of those characters where it's like, yeah, I've designed him in a way where it's really hard to draw this guy every time he appears, but it looks really cool when I do it, and it's something different. And this character is terrifying, and the spiders are terrifying, and so this story arc really kind of hovers on has a horror vibe, especially from issue 8 and 9, and going back to things like the original Alien movie and Aliens. There's some of that in there, and just drawing from some of those science fiction stories. It's not going to be too gory or anything like that, but it's just spiders are creepy, and there's lots of spiders in this book, and but it looks really cool, and you're going to see a lot more of that as the story unfolds. And there's going to be there's a number of new characters. You mentioned one is Matterhorn. She's the warden of mountain goats, and she's kind of stubborn and kind of strong in her opinions, and she comes along for the adventure, and she's fun to draw. She's kind of I kind of imagined her as like a Viking Wonder Woman in a way. And so she's there, and there's going to be some other new characters kind of introduced as we go along too. I'm drawing a brand new character. Actually, I was drawing this character yesterday and today. So, and I think this character is going to be one of our. It's going to be a character that I think a lot of people are going to like, and it brings a very different vibe to the story. But it's something that we've been talking about for a long time, and about what we wanted to do, and so I don't want to do any more or say any more about that. But there's some cool stuff in this story arc for sure.
To help pivot away from you saying too much, now that you've done all these different helmet designs, do you find it easier now when you're developing these new characters to get their helmet down quicker?
Yeah. There was a piece that we did when we were doing the advertising where Jeff said, just put a whole bunch of different helmets, do some designs, and we talked about different characters, and it used to appear in as an ad in some of the old first
choose your animal.
That image. And so a lot of those helmets, I just kind of like looked at the animal and just drew it, and then that's kind of how those masks end up looking. Like the spider helmet, arachnid helmet is essentially that helmet. Yeah, I don't know. I just when we discuss a character, I have to sit down and think about it and what I want to do. But I have kind of created a little bit of a visual language. Like Bloodhound's helmet is similar to Direwolf's helmet, and because I figured if they're both dog, canine, there should be some similarities in the way that the helmet looks. If we ever see another bird character, they might have some similarities to Rook's helmet, in the way that the parts and the pieces look. And I kind of am able to kind of draw from some of those designs that I've done before, and think about, logistically, like, well, these helmets would have been designed similarly. They're kind of similar animals, like Matterhorn's helmet is kind of based off of a skull. Same with Stag. So it's like there's a little bit of a tie. They're both horned characters, so there's like a bit of a tie in there, right? So, but a lot of times you just kind of go with your gut, what you think looks cool.
So I'm not going to let you choose Rook. But if you have to choose a helmet to Neuralink to some animals to control, who are you choosing? And you can't choose Rook.
Yeah, well, Rook would be the one, because I've really come to love crows as animals. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. The funny thing is that I'm not really an animal lover. I like animals, but I think an interesting one would be like an aquatic, like a shark or something like that. Like that would be a fun one, because to see the world under the water through the eyes of a shark or whatever would be pretty cool. I love the concept of the birds, because it's like you have many eyes in the sky, and you can but then Direwolf, she's got the pack of wolves, and it's kind of Direwolf. A lot of her inspiration for me came from like Princess Mononoke. In that movie, there was like the girl.
I can see that now. Okay.
Yeah, the girl had like the wolves, and I always loved this idea of like these giant wolves. I always thought that was such a cool visual, and in fact, all the animals kind of on Exodus are a little bigger, or at least some of them are bigger, and so it kind of, there's a lot of Princess Mononoke inspired stuff, and I've wolves are a very regal animal. Yeah, when we were at the zoo this summer, it was fun to kind of walk through the zoo, and my son and I were looking at the different animals, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the, there's a bear over there. And it was cool to kind of, I've been drawing these creatures and looking at reference photos and stuff. It's fun to see them in real life. And there was a wolf there, and I was just like, wow, like it's a beautiful animal. The way it walks and moves and all this kind of stuff. And I do appreciate animals more. I was always more of a dinosaur guy when I was a kid. That was my my vibe, my jam. So, yeah, I don't know. Those that would be kind of some of my answers, I guess.
And when are we getting actual helmets? I need it more than anything. Like I got my Judge Dredd helmet up there. I need a Rook or a Stag or even a Matterhorn helmet. When is that happening?
I can't tell you that. No clue. But I like I said, like I had somebody actually hollow out the 3D file that I have, but I haven't actually sat down to try and 3D print the thing. If I could ever get it to work one day, maybe I could, put the STL file so other people could print the thing off and use it for cosplay or whatever. But
I want one so bad. I want one so goddamn bad.
I do. I actually like a friend of mine. His son is a 3D modeler. My brother's very busy right now, so he can't really do a lot of this anymore. But a friend of mine has been actually building a lot of the helmets in 3D based off of my designs, so that I had more 3D reference, but also I kind of realized, well, I want to have reference for other artists. Like if people are doing variant covers and stuff, like it'd be nice to have something where I could be like, oh, you're drawing Direwolf here, like take a look at this. This is the actual like 3D reference, so that you can spin it and you can see what it looks like, because there's a lot of different things going on there, right? So we have been working on some of that, but it'd be as time goes by, it'd be cool if we could get somebody to make actual helmets and stuff for people to purchase. But that's a long-term dream, a long-term goal. We'll see.
I'll wait. I'll patiently wait, but I want it real bad.
It's awesome. Me too.
A lot of support over on TikTok of being fine with waiting for the issues, that it's well worth the wait. A lot of it's scrolling over here, much support. I'm going to try and sneak in. We have some good questions. I just want to sneak in one I see here. Jeremiah, if you will.
What's Jason's favorite issue of the next arc of Rook Exodus? Wow. So we issue 7 coming out in October, and issue 12, I'm assuming way after that. And this is all the, I believe, A covers for the next series. In your opinion, which one are you most excited for people's reaction to be?
I think, well, issue 9 has a lot of kind of like really creepy stuff in it that people are going to really dig, I think. I don't know. I've really enjoyed drawing all of these issues so far. Issue 10 is kind of a special issue, and that we kind of divert and talk about a different character. So that one might end up being the one that a lot of people will end up really digging and liking. So, but I don't know. One of the things that's fun about doing a creator-owned book is the fact that, like I was kind of mentioning before, because you're so involved in it, it's like you really like it all. Like it's like, because it's like, because we had the power, like Jeff and I have the power to kind of say like, yeah, let's go this direction, let's go that direction. It's you're not being hampered by, well, you can't use this villain because that villain's being used in this other book right now. You have to stick with this villain, that villain in your Batman run or whatever. With this, it's like we can play do whatever we want. If we want to kill off a character, we can. If we want to introduce other characters, we can. We don't have to worry about all this outside kind of stuff. So it's hard to say, like, yeah, I think issue 8 really is when things really start to kick off, and we start seeing some of the spiders and stuff like that, and that one's a lot of fun. And then issue 9, there's some really cool kind of looks into these characters. And like I said, there's some really creepy stuff in that one too. So yeah, I mean, I like them all, but I'm excited for people to read issue 7 too, because it just, like you said, it's us coming back, and it's got a really cool intro and opening, and
those first 5 or 6 pages. Oh boy.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
All right, well, I'll let you give us the final plug. Issue 7 is in shops October 1st. FOC is 9/8. It's only 9/3, so we're in September, but still early. There's time to call your shop. But your final words on issue 7, and we'll let you go back to work.
Yeah, I know it's taken a long time to get this stuff out, but I've been working hard on this, and we have big plans for Rook. It's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. It's not. This is the book that, if I can go on my soapbox rant here, it's like when I was growing up, and when I was starting in comics, I wanted to draw all the big kind of stuff at DC or Marvel if I had a chance at that. But I wanted to draw the big Batman stuff and do all that kind of thing. And then as time went by, I started to really kind of look at what kind of an artist I wanted to be and what kind of legacy I wanted to leave. And I started looking at other guys like Todd McFarlane and Mike Mignola. And it's like, these guys created brand new things, and they created characters that people really got behind, and they stuck with it. Mike Mignola stuck with Hellboy and built that 3-4 movies and a TV show and all kinds of stuff, cartoons and tons and tons of comics and spin-offs, and same with Todd McFarlane with Spawn, over 350 issues. And that's what I want to do with Rook. It may take a while for it all to come out, but I think as time goes by, more and more of these stories will get to tell them, and I'm hoping that I can do this book from now until I retire. And I really want to build out a really epic, fun, adventure-filled story, something that's appropriate, that you could read with an 8-year-old, 10-year-old. We've been really sensitive to the language that we use in the book. I'm a stickler for language in comics, and I wanted it so that I could give it to my kid and he could read it, and there wasn't any swearing or anything in it. It's got some fighting, it's got some violence, but nothing that's too bad. I just wanted a book that you could enjoy, that kind of felt that went back to the way Star Wars was, or Indiana Jones, or some of those things that I really enjoyed as a kid. Issue 7 kind of kicks off our next arc, and I'm really excited about it. I really appreciate people having the patience to wait for the issues, and we also have, I believe, the deluxe hardcover is on sale in October as well, at the end of October, and it's beautiful. The deluxe hardcover is really nice. I don't have a physical copy, but it was fun kind of designing that, because I got to add in a ton of design stuff. There's a whole bunch of behind the scenes, like, design work from my early sketches of the helmets, sketches of the characters and vehicles and all that stuff, and kind of talking about it too. So I think people will be really happy if they've been waiting for that hardcover. Like, we really put a lot into it to make it something really special. But I'm loving drawing this book. It is the hardest thing I've ever drawn. Like, it is 10 times harder than drawing Batman. And there are a lot of days where I curse myself, and I'm beat up and broken after a day of drawing. and wondering if it, you're sitting there thinking like, what, is this worth it? Is it worth the time and effort? But when you hear really nice things coming back, and people really wanting to read the next story, that pushes you on. That makes you want to work hard. And I've always wanted to be the artist that an artist that delivered. When you buy a Jason Fabok, Jeff Johns comic, I want it to be worth every penny that you paid for it. And I want you to read it and then also be able to look at it, go back and read it again, or just scan through it and just enjoy the presentation and everything. And I'm really excited for this book to come back. And there's we got many more stories in the future, and each one is unique and cool. And actually, we have so many stories that we've kind of done, and it's like I calculate the time. It's like, well, I don't know how long will it be till we get to that cool story way down there. Like, will it be like 50 or 60 by that time? But so many cool stories, I won't even probably be able to tell them all. But Rook really feels special. It feels like it's that thing I've been waiting for all my life, that unique kind of world and idea that I can really sink my teeth into. And so, yeah, I'm loving it. I can't wait for it to come out. Can't wait for people to see the book and see Brad's colors and how beautiful it looks. And I'm just so happy that that we're getting back into it.
As someone who considers himself a comic historian, I can see Rook in the pantheon of great comics heroes like Grimjack and American Flag and all these great independent characters that have stood the test of time. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I'm really excited for people to see this new story arc kicking off in October. We have issue 7, deluxe hardcover coming out at the end of the month. Definitely pick that up if you can. Neuralink disconnected.